Oh my gosh. My forehead is huge. Look at the size of that thing. So, yeah, forehead comments aside, today we're going to be reviewing the Surface Pro 7. Okay, now that I have my other glasses on and I can see. So, yeah, the title of this video is Review of the Surface Pro 7 from an artist's perspective. I've done these videos before where I've gone through and I've reviewed the certain products that I own. I've owned many all-in-ones as well as iPads. So, the Surface Pro 7, 2020. This is the most current iteration of the Surface Pro 7 with the 10th gen processor in it, the i5. The one that I have is the i5 iteration with 8 gigs of RAM and 128 gigabytes of SSD storage. The 10th gen processor that it has in it has, I believe, 8 cores, and each core running at a base clock speed of 1.10 gigahertz with a peak of 1.5. I'm reading off my script. So the display is the Pixel Sense. You guys are very familiar with this particular display. It's been around a long time, I believe all the way back to Surface Pro 3. Pixel Sense display, 27 by 36, 18 by 24 resolution. And this particular machine is running Windows 10 Home, which again, I'm not really sure why they did that. It's a Pro machine. It's in the title. Just include the Pro operating system. I'm not really sure why they do that. I'll be upgrading here soon to the Pro, just because there are certain features that I like to have going forward. And of course, the graphics processor has been updated to the Intel Iris Plus. This particular graphics card is integrated, which is fine. I've owned machines previous to this that had integrated graphics card. I think the Surface Pro 5 that I have is the 620. However, this one is designated to be much faster and much better than the other graphics cards that are out there. The technology is progressing in the sense that nowadays in the all-in-ones and how they're set up with the battery configuration and the display as well as the SSD, you don't really need, quote-unquote, this is not my particular opinion, but this is what the business is saying. The overall consensus is that dedicated graphics cards are really for heavy lifting. And this particular machine is not really designed for heavy lifting. So you don't need a designated graphics card. They generate a lot of heat and they suck battery life. So this has the, like I said, Intel Iris Plus, 3.7 gigahertz max turbo with a baseline of 1.10 gigahertz. So it is pretty quick, and it has 4 cores. So it's pretty quick overall. I don't know how much RAM that it allocates. It probably allocates what it needs to at the particular point in time, but it is really fast. So, I asked myself, and I needed to get to this pretty quick when I started evaluating, looking at other machines. I've owned a lot of machines, and I looked at it and I said to myself, okay, I currently own a Surface Pro 5. Why do I need to go ahead and get the next iteration? So I started reading about the SP7 and how much better it was, how much faster it was, even faster than the SP6. And I started looking at it, and I really love my Surface products, and I love the form factor. I love, the drawing experience, much to the chagrin of a lot of other illustrators. And, I started looking at it going, maybe I do need to look at it a little bit more in depth. So that's why I kind of upgraded. I sold one of my other machines, and I was able to go ahead and purchase this machine at a radical discount, as well as take care of some other things that needed to happen. The machine I did sell was my Hewlett-Packard HP ZBook X2G4, which 7th generation processor, i7 with 32 gigs of RAM, 1 terabyte SSD, and a 2 gig video card and a 4K screen. So you're like, that's like and it had Wacom technology. You're like, that's the most ultimate machine to ever grace the planet. It is. Don't get me wrong. but it was very expensive. The battery life wasn't very good because of the i7 processor. And in addition to that, the form factor really didn't match the way I worked. The form factor being it was heavy and it was large and it was bulky and it was difficult to manage. And in addition to that, the specialty, the niche market that particular machine went towards, which is the artist market, it's in the illustration market. And, I started just looking at it and it's just so big and heavy. And I was like, I can't lug this thing around. It's more or less an all-in-one that tries to really be a desktop. And at the end of the day, it really should be, kind of a desktop. And that's just my opinion. And I just decided, for as much money as I had in it, I went ahead and let it go and was able to take care of some other bills and buy some other stuff and this tablet. So that being said, that's kind of why I wanted the SP7. I wanted the warranty with it. I wanted the updated graphics. I wanted the 10th gen processor. And just overall, wanted that form factor, that 12.3 inch screen that, I've grown to love and adore. And, too, as an artist, I'm always looking for that ultimate machine. We as illustrators, graphic designers, content creators, people that use these machines on a constant basis really are looking for that ultimate machine, one that covers the entire broad spectrum of our needs, from drawing to illustrating to vector to 3D sculpting to video editing. We want something that covers everything. And a lot of times it's hard to find that. And this machine is so close to doing everything. And I'm going to explain why. So I own the Dell Inspiron 7573 that had the 4K screen. It was a big 15 inch. And the 8th gen processor i7, which is, gosh, it was an amazing machine. But the drawing experience on it was absolutely horrible. I mean, horrible. I ended up having to buy a Wacom Bamboo Ink 2 stylus, and eventually it just didn't work. The pressure curve didn't work. And I found out later, after I purchased the machine, did some investigation, that the 4K screen doesn't support the app that you can adjust the pressure curve in. So I eventually had to sell that one. Gosh, I really didn't want to get rid of that machine. It was so nice. And, that's kind of my background as far as drawing machines go. I've owned, like I said, all the way from the Surface Pro 2, 3, 5. I own the Surface Book, and also my wife's, I have owned the Surface Go, not the Go, but the Surface, what was that thing called? RT, which is basically an ARM chip. And so I'm very familiar with the Surface Pro line and the other drawing machines. I've owned 2 iPad Pros, as well as like 6 iPads before that. So I'm very familiar with the form factor of the all-in-one. So let's talk about this machine, the Surface Pro 7, and why I think it is one of the best drawing artist companions that you could have, bar none. And I say that coming from a very broad experience. I owned a Cintiq Companion, i7 first generation, wonderful machine, and again the HP ZBook. And I've drawn on Wacom tablets, gosh, close to 15 years. And previous to that, I worked on Intuos products, so I'm very familiar with the Wacom technology. How does this particular machine drive? How does it work? Let's just be frank. It's a Surface Pro, but this one's got a couple little tweaks that make it a lot better, and overall just a lot faster and a better experience overall. Okay, so here it is, the wonderful SP7. Let's go ahead over here. Show you, see, system, about. So, Intor i5, 1035 G4 CPU at 1 gigahertz to 1.5 processor. Okay, so what makes this one different than the other ones? So let's go ahead and I've just paired my Surface Pen. This is the Surface, the most current iteration, I believe 4,096 levels of pressure sensitivity. It has the just the standard pointy nib on it. I don't have the one with the little grippy rubber thing on there. I found that with this particular drawing experience that I'm looking for and that I'm after, that pen tip works the best for me. I've tried paper-like on these things. I didn't like it. I've tried multiple ways of trying to get the best drawing experience. And for some reason, this particular nib works the best. So let's go over here to the little Surface app to pair the pen. Currently, we're at, so I like to keep it around 4 for the Surface pen. There is another pen out there that I'm not going to talk about today. And I'm actually going to do another review, a review on it, probably my next video, and it has to do with the Raphael 520, but we're not going to get in that today. So, first of all, this machine is not cheap. You know, there's different iterations of this machine depending on your budget and what works best for you. We're going to do a little drawing today for you guys. So, a lot of you have asked about this little device right here. This is the XP Pen. Not a sponsor yet. The XP Pen Shortcut Remote. It is dongle based. So basically you put this little USB dongle into the side. My power cord's being stretched a little bit here. I don't like that. That kind of grates on me. There we go. And it's great. You got, you know, pre-programmed shortcut keys with a scroll wheel. So it's really great. I went in and set this up, and you can be program specific. So here's the app for it. I think I've done a review on this before. You basically can add an app here. You choose what app you want. So let's see, Photoshop. Where's Photoshop at? Pen tablet service. I have to launch it for it to recognize it, or I could browse and get it. But anyway, you go in and you set the function keys to what you want. The pre-done default keys work pretty well. But what's really good is once you start getting into this, if it'll work, space. Okay, so let's make sure that we're set here. Okay, let's go back. There we go. So basically, I have them set. You know, I can set these up. See, cancel. Alt, Control. I have one of them set to R to rotate. Nope, that's in a different program. Anyway, so, okay. Why on earth would I go from this form factor? Looks like the same machine, doesn't it? This is the SP5 that I own. It's in the Kodi case, which is great. But this only has 4 gigs of RAM, and it has the 7th generation i5, which is capable. But what I've noticed with this machine is you can't run Fresco on it because it's, you know, Fresco has those live brushes. And it wouldn't allow me to do certain things. And I started really getting into this to try and kind of make it what I wanted it to be. And that's why I went with this machine right here. Okay. As you see, the pressure curve is really nice with this. Zoom in, and we'll do the diagonal test. And with the most current iteration of the Surface Pen, you notice that it's not too bad. You know, what's funny is they all dry diagonally, because you know that's where the problem is whenever it comes to intrig. But whenever you draw vertically, it's wonderful, right? Or horizontally, well, that sucked. That's because I did it. So we do see some wiggle. And what I noticed with the Surface Pen, you get these blurbs, these little instances where, you know, I start pressing. I literally just barely started pressing harder, and you see these things right here. And here, we'll do it this way. We'll make it a little bit larger. Here, let's see, not bad. But then you see like that. So that is not very good, okay? Whenever it comes to drawing experience. I'm just going to give you a taste of the Raphael really quick. Just a taste, because I want to do a complete review about this on my next video. And what's great about the Raphael is the pressure curve. So instantaneously, I can feel the difference. And you see the pressure curve is much better. It's much lighter to start. And you don't see those blurbs. I mean, I see a little bit here, a little bit here. And the latency, I don't really feel any latency. But we're going to go back. because I don't want to spoil you with the Raphael pen, because that's what it does. It spoils you. So overall, I think this machine is fantastic. You know, it's not a desktop. That's one of the things that we all have to remember. It's not a desktop. See, I can already feel the difference. See, it comes in too quick. It doesn't have a nice gradual lead in. So we're going to go and we're going to adjust it again down to the surface. Okay. We're going to go to 3. Let's see what that feels like. Not bad. Okay. Okay. You know, and then I've got this little rubber tip on here. So what really makes this a great combo is not only this XP Pen remote, quick key remote, because I don't have to have the keys here on the screen, which is Pen Tablet. Pen Tablet sells a piece of software that you can do that. And then you don't have to have a full keyboard. A full keyboard would be nice, and it does pair with this, and you can do that. But I just don't want to, you know, I don't want to do that. So we're going to go ahead and draw something really quick for you guys to show you why I like working on these devices. Not only are these devices powerful, but the fit and finish and the quality is wonderful. You know, whenever you compare to the iPad, it's hard to compare stuff to the iPad because Apple does things in such a way that it really lends itself to that creative professional. You know, the stuff just works. And it's hard to deny, you know, the prowess of the iPad. It's just wonderful. Speaking of which, speaking of the iPad, sorry that I keep clearing my throat. Allergy season is in full effect, and my apologies for that. So here's the iPad Pro, and you guys know the iPad Pro is just it's not on right now. I've got a Paperlike on here. I've got my Apple Pencil. And in terms of sizing, you know, this screen is very comparable to the iPad Pro. I think the iPad Pro is 12.9, and this one's a 12.3. In terms of cost, you know, the Surface devices have also kind of gotten a poopy rap for being too expensive for what you get. Actually, let me go ahead and jack that down a little bit. Because they nickel and dime you for everything. And that's, you know, Apple does it, Microsoft does it. They all do it to the point where you have to realize it is a business and they're trying to make tons of money, which they have. Could do this. And if you notice the pen, what's happening with the pen right now is the pressure curve is kind of screwy. You know, I go up here and then suddenly it's like, boom. And what's really cool about this particular program, you can go in and you can mess around with the pressure curve, size with light pressure, size with heavy, opacity with heavy pressure. So I can jack that down just a little bit. Flow with heavy pressure, I can jack the flow down a little bit. And so then you can customize your brushes to the way you want them. And what makes this particular program, this is Sketchbook Pro, by the way, really powerful is the fact that it's free. What? Free? And I've said that on my channel before. And, you know, I think at one point they were charging quite a bit. I remember I actually, I bought it because I use it quite a bit. And if you notice, again, that form factor, being able to draw on a decent sized surface, being able to utilize the tools, and the computer is not hot. The computer has a great screen resolution, and, you know, I'm not really multitasking. Let's go ahead and jack this here. Not bad. Let's go down a little bit. That's a little bit better. See, we're at 2. The Surface Pen, like I'd said before, is a little bit different when it comes. Yeah, that's good. Is a little bit different whenever it comes to that pressure curve. Go ahead and zoom out. Zoom in. Get rid of that. And you notice, I mean, there's no latency on this at all. It's just a really, really great piece of hardware overall, I think. And I'm running the full version of Sketchbook Pro, not the tablet version. This is driving me crazy, this pen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch over to the Raphael pen, and we'll talk a little bit about the the computer overall. Let's go ahead and do this. We'll go over a little bit. Okay, let's get this hair up here first. Okay, File, Save As, Diff. We'll do Photoshop. We'll do Desktop, Image. And we'll just do... Oh, I hate that test. 2. Okay. No, I don't want that. Image 1. 2. Okay, T. You're noticing one of the flaws of Microsoft Windows. 2. There we go. All right. Okay, now I've got the Raphael stylus, which to me is a little bit better drawing experience overall. I'm not going to talk too much about it. You're just going to see the wonders of the stylus. Here we need to go ahead and change the pressure curve again because this is a little bit more sensitive. So we're going to go here. Okay, I'll probably get rid of all. So it likes to be around 5, 6. Perfect. Okay, so, this has quicker starts. This machine has quicker starts, better transitions, quicker animations, smoother renderings. In terms of your bread and butter software for your Illustrator, this particular machine, can run full applications. And that's what's really important at the end of the day. Something like your iPad is starting to get there, but it's not there yet. And plus iPads are pretty dang expensive. I think I paid $1,300 for one of my first iPads, and then consecutively the other iPad that I own is around $1,300 to $1,400, and that was actually given to me by one of my clients, which is it's a huge blessing to have that machine. I haven't really used that machine as much as I would like, and overall, whenever I started getting into it, I always found myself coming back to the Surface. Nothing against the iPad. It's a wonderful machine. Lots of pro-level guys doing incredible stuff with it. It's just at the end of the day, whenever I started getting into it, I had an issue with file transfer and overall just really having some challenges whenever I wanted to do certain things, fonts and whatnot, and I couldn't really use it as much as I wanted to. So, as you see, the Raphael is a much more precise drawing instrument overall. You can also hook this up to a Cintiq. There is a USB-C outlet on the side, and I do have, voila, the Anchor USB-C outlet that you could hook up a large Cintiq, and it will run it. I've done it, and it runs it great. Some of the software that I've already placed on here, I put Photoshop on here, Fresco, and we'll go through those here in just a second. Clip Studio Paint, which, if you're not using Clip Studio Paint as an illustrator, you're really missing out on a great drawing experience overall. Okay, so as you see, I'm not getting any latency issues. It's not gumming up. It's not, it's like a little mini Cintiq. It's hard for me to convey how well it feels, especially with this particular stylus. It's just so good, guys. I'm so happy with it. I mean, I was struggling so much. I would, be drawing on even on my HP, and I would have some issues because of the, I call it the HP shell. And the fact that, that particular machine was running through the HP shell, and I'd have some issues with updates and stuff like that. That machine was absolutely phenomenal. But again, it weighed so much. This machine I can stick on my lap. I can sit here and draw and sketch and really just enjoy, my morning without having to lug around a 4-pound machine. I think this machine weighs 3 pounds, 2.5 pounds, not even that. So, all right. So you get the gist of exactly what it's capable of. Okay, so you're like, well, that's great. This machine's fantastic. What? There has to be a downfall. There has to be. Oh, there is. There's a downfall with every machine you buy. You know, whether it's cost, whether it's fit and finish, whether it's quality, whether it's drivers, whether it's compatibility. Here's the biggest issue that I found while playing around with this machine, and this is pretty much standard on all Surface devices. First of all, it's not a desktop, right? As an illustrator, I want my machines to perform flawlessly. I want to perform, because what inadvertently happens is you start messing around, and what happens? Oh, there's an update. Oh, what happens? Oh, there's a, virus. Oh, what happens? Suddenly it's super slow and I don't understand why. And you're like, crap, stupid machine, and then all it's doing is, trying to protect you, whether it's a virus software that is inhibiting you from creating, or maybe it's a driver issue. But one of the biggest issues this machine has is battery life. It's good. It's not great. I think they save 8 hours total time, 9 hours. It's 3 hours less than the Surface Pro 6, which is not good. You never want to go backwards, but, just carry a charger with you. That's what I say. Carry a charger with you. I'm getting decent battery life out of it. 3 hours of battery life, total drawing time. And, that's with a full version of Windows, not a, not an ARM chip machine. Let's go and draw his eyes in. Do this. There we go. And you notice there's just no latency. Oh my gosh, it's such an incredible machine. Let's go ahead and jack this up a little bit. Make a little bit bigger brush. And with this particular stylus, guys, oh my gosh, it draws so well, so precise. But we're not going to get into that because I don't want you to have to sit there and listen to me ram on about the device. Okay. Okay, so let's just get real for a second. The experience is not Wacom, okay? I want it to be Wacom because I love me some Wacom experience, I think one of the best drawing experiences out there is the Apple Pencil. And the reason for that is because the screen is bonded. It's bonded to the LCD underneath. So you have the top glass and it's bonded. So there's the distance is microns. So the issue comes in whenever you start having the glass and then you have the actual LCD, and that distance is what causes the parallax. And you start drawing, and then you notice like the cursor lags slightly behind, if you notice right here. But whenever I'm drawing, since I'm so used to older Wacom machines, because older Wacom machines had quite a bit of parallax, and I'm so used to doing that whenever I draw on a machine like this that has very little, there's very little parallax there for me to even discern when I'm drawing. And since it's got such a great processor, I'm not getting, I'm not getting any lag at all. So I'm going to transition over to Clip Studio Paint with this file really quick. So let's do this. Even though I do love this program. This is a free program, by the way, and you can download brushes for free, which is really cool. They've got a huge brush library. All these brushes were free. The program's free. You can save as Photoshop files. You can open Photoshop files. Any of you guys that don't use Sketchbook Pro right now and are a professional, man, you could really be leveling up with this free program and not having to pay exorbitant amounts of money to facilitate that subscription for Adobe. Don't get me wrong, Adobe's good, and it is the industry standard. But the reality is, this is a great viable option for you guys. Let's go ahead and do this up. Okay. So let's go ahead and get you over to Clip Studio Paint. Actually, I'm gonna shade these in just a little bit. Again, you know, I'm increasing, I'm decreasing, I'm rotating, I'm showing you the prowess of the SP7 from an illustrator standpoint. You know, just like any device, you have to tune it, and especially PCs. You know, Macs are a little bit different. You can't really tune Macs that well, but PCs, man, you can tune them, you can change memory partitions, you can upgrade RAM, not this particular machine, you can't upgrade RAM in the Surface devices at all. You know, but, you know, tuning your machine to your needs is something that as a PC owner, I've actually started to like quite a bit. You know, if you don't mind eating your battery life lunch. But man, you know, I remember that HP ZBook, you know, they said like, oh, 15 hours of battery life. I'm like, yes. And then I got it, and the real world was like 4.5, 5, which I understand. It's a powerful machine overall. So again, okay, so that's that. So let's go ahead and get, let's go to Clip Studio Paint. Okay, so here we are in Clip Studio Paint. You know, the SP7 as an artist option, is it a viable one? Oh man, yeah, it is so good. Just overall, it has so many great features that you need to understand really work for you, right? You have the larger screen, the incredible definition of the screen itself. Then you have, you know, the a mini micro SD card slot on the back, which you can upgrade your storage, 512. You can even go as high as a terabyte if you can afford that little micro SD card, which is great because I've got a 256. I believe I have my 256 in it. No, I haven't put it in there yet. Cost. So cost is one of the things that I think is relative, because you have some people that are like, oh, whatever it takes. You know, whenever I bought that HP, I was in that mindset, and I had the money at the time that I wanted the best machine for the money. And overall, see, I'm zooming in and out right now with this, and then I can press this little button right here, and I can actually change. See, that's zooming in and out, no problem. And then I can change the brush size with it as well, which is really cool. You know, and I was like, yeah, whatever it takes, I'll spend the money. And, you know, hindsight being 2020, I could have probably done things a little bit different, you know, and I probably should have, because I didn't get my money's worth out of that machine, you know. And I do regret buying that machine. At the time, I could have bought something a little bit more, you know, that I thought would last a little bit longer. But at the end of the day, this machine, you know, your 8GB variant with 128 gigs of storage and your i5 is about $7.99. It's on sale right now for, I believe, the month of October. So let's go ahead and zoom in. I'm going to get rid of this. So my brush is a little bit too big. So let's, 1, 2, go down a little bit. A little bit smaller. Okay. Not bad. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and rough in some of these elements here. Then you move on to the the 8GB 256 variant of this particular machine, of these SP7, and it goes up to $1,000. And then you get up to the, you know, the higher echelon, which is 16 gigs for the 256 i5 is $11.99. And then once you breach the i7, you start getting expensive, all the way up to $2,000. And at the end of the day, I mean, gosh, I don't know who's buying those, you know, machines. If I'm going to spend $2,000, I'm going to spend it, you know, maybe on an Ultrabook, an XP, you know, the XPS, the Dell XPS. But what's great about this machine, again, has to do with the sizing, the form factor, and, whoops, messing all that up. I'm talking to you, I'm messing it up. Let's go here, zoom in a little bit. You know, I wanted something that I could sit down that was powerful enough to run my full apps and not weigh 1 billion pounds and not cost $1 million. And this seemed to really fit the bill. You You know, you got to buy what you can afford. That's the reality of it. You know, we all buy what we can afford. And sometimes I think we need one thing when we really don't. I did because I always do tons of research whenever it comes to buying a machine. And, you know, one of the guys said, unless you're doing video editing, which I do a little bit here and there, I do most of it on my Mac or on my phone. Unless you're doing video editing, you really don't need to go up to that i7. I've owned i7s before, and they are battery hogs. And I think that, you know, hindsight being 2020, you know, if I could find, I actually looked at an SP6 with the i7 and 16 gigs of RAM, and I almost bought it. But, you know, at the end of the day, I want the newest processor. I want, or at least what Microsoft offers. I want the machine that fits me the best. And that's what you really got to do, you know, going forward. Let me see. You know, with the SP7, you're getting a full version of Windows. You know, this is Windows Home, which I wasn't too happy about because there are certain features that I want to be able to work with, you know, the full version Windows Professional. Let's go ahead and zoom in a little bit. I want to get his eyes. You know, you get the Windows experience, you get the support, you get incredible build quality. The case is made a magnesium. I'm not going to go into the intricacies of the build quality. It's just wonderful. You know, they've been doing this a long time. This particular form factor has been around since the SP3. And, you know, I loved my SP3. I loved that device and how they, you know, it actually got faster the longer that I owned it. And I ended up selling it to one of my students. And I believe he's still working on it. And that was an i7 with 8 gigs of RAM. And I think it had the 4th generation i7. Wonderful machine. Incredible. And it had this basic same form factor, same design. Let's go ahead and do this. And you notice this Raphael stylus, it's thinner, it's narrower, it's got a little rubber tip on the end, which I love. You know, it reminds me a lot of drawing on my old school Cintiq, back whenever I had the Cintiq 21UX. And that one only had, what, 1,000 level pressure sensitivity? And you look back at that and you laugh and you're like, what? 1,000 levels? You know, I can get that on my phone. Which you can. Some phones do that. Let's go ahead and save this file. Save. Then you get into the additional costs with the SP7. You're like, what? So what do I get for $1,000? Well, you know, right now, if you were to go ahead and get the SP7, I recommend you getting the keyboard. You know, I have the keyboard. Where is it? What did I do with it? I had the keyboard from SP5. It's a wonderful keyboard, Alcantara leather. Uses the magnet clip on. It's got this glass trackpad right here, and the keys are wonderful. Fantastic. Love it. The keyboard's $130. The pen's $100 if you were to go with the Surface pen right here. The Surface pen's $100. And then you get into software. So software is a big question mark. You know, I gave you a free option. The, you know, this particular software, Clip Studio Paint, I think it's subscription-based now. Let's go ahead and get his ear in. Okay. All right. And then, you know, from Adobe products, depending on if you're students, I think you can get the entire Creative Suite for $30 a month, which is worth it, or you can cater to what you need. There are free options from GIMP to, I think Medibang's free. Not really sure. I don't really use Medibang. I never really got into that arena. I always stuck with Photoshop, which we're going to get here in just a minute. So let's go ahead and get I like these little wrinkles that come up here, here, and here. Then you get to the case. You know, if you want to buy a case, excuse me, you know, this one, I think was $15, the Kodi case, which is wonderful. This has a case on it. You can pay upwards of $100 for a case. You know, on my Surface Book, I had a UAG case. It was like $100. Now, I protected it, but man, $100 for a case, that's like, golly. But, you know, it has to do with the investment. If you're going to pay for it, you better protect it, right? Oops, sorry this review is going on long, but I want you guys to really see the ins and outs of how this machine performs, you know, in the drawing arena. A lot of times you just see one or two, you know, little drawings, and I wanted to show you guys that, man, the form factor, whenever you have it in front of you and you're drawing on it, it's just so nice. You know, possible other options other than this. This is this XP pen remote. Quick keys paired with a dongle on the side. Battery operated, little quadruple A battery. This is about $40, $40 to $50. I think you might be able to order it from XP Pen for $39. And then you get into, you know, possibly pairing an extra keyboard with it, which I did with my Cintiq Companion, and it worked great. And you have your little keyboard here on the side, and you're sitting there working just like you would on a Cintiq. And you know, that's just, you know, then you get into the pens, and man, there's a lot of stylus options. This particular pen is great, and again, I'm going to get into the whole Raphael pen review on my next video. But this particular pen, it retails, I think, for $45, which is half, and it's rechargeable. It's got a little rechargeable, and it's 2-button, and it's better than the Surface Pro pen. It's a lot better, not just a little better. It is a lot better. And, you know, that's just one of those things where it really pays for you to look around and to listen, you know. Let's go ahead and color these in really quick. 1, 2, make that a little bit bigger. Just wonderful. Look at that pressure curve. Unreal, dude. It is just so good. The pressure curve is so good. I've got tons of stink bugs that are invading my studio right now. My apologies for that. If you can hear them. Let's go ahead and zoom out. Okay, let's go down. Let's wrap up the neck area, and then we'll move on to Photoshop. Okay, so the final wrap up. You know, you could buy, basically you buy the computer for $800, then you got to buy the pen. Okay, let's say you get the Raphael at $520, so that's another $50, so you're up to $850. And then you get any software, question mark. If you want to keep it simple, this particular software, again, I told you, is free. Plus, there's tons of brushes. I mean, you know, that's what a lot of artists like, are your brushes, you know. And then moving on to your case, any peripherals that you buy, you know, a bag. Let's just budget for $1,000. So $1,000 will get you a decent setup with the Surface device. You know, if you look at the Apple offerings, you know, they've got Apple Pencil support now on the lower rung iPads. You know, the challenge that I have with the iPad, guys, and I've said this before, is it doesn't run full versions of your pro applications. You know, this does. Whoops. This is funny. See, I pre-programmed the Control-Z into my quickie. It runs pro apps, and that's extremely important overall. You know, I don't want to iterate that too much because the iPad is a great device. So are your Samsung devices. Of course, I've never owned one, so I don't really know. I'm sure they're great. But man, whenever you start getting into this, and you could do artwork like, you know, and sketch work like this, there is no question. The Surface Pro is one of the most powerful, especially the 7, with its, you know, increased power, graphics, and all of that. And I own iPads. You know, I own all those devices. You know, I've owned your Cintiqs. I've owned your Cintiq Companions. I've owned all those. So I can safely say that this is one of my favorite devices. Now, out of the box, great machine, fast, reliable, great operating system, full version of Windows, okay battery life. It's beautiful. It's got a great form factor. Overall, let me change my script here. You know, it does have a degree of expandability. Let's go zoom in a little bit. Expandability with that SD card. Do I wish you could mess around? I know the 10, I believe you can upgrade the hard drive in it. But at the end of the day, just buy the one you can afford and use the SD card slot. Man, I just can't say enough about this Raphael stylus. It's just wonderful. Okay. Good. Okay. Expensive, yes. So what is the verdict? I love the Surface Pro machines. So much to like. You know, I finally found the best drawing stylus in this Raphael. Next video. Please like and subscribe. Definitely wait for that video to come out, because I'm gonna put this thing through its paces and let you guys really see what it can do. So let's go ahead and save it, and then we're gonna open it up for Photoshop. Okay, so I just downloaded and installed the latest version of Adobe Photoshop. I believe this is the 2021 version. I've only opened it once and got rid of all the crap and adjusted everything. So let's go ahead. See, it opened really good. So let's open. And it goes to Creative Cloud, which I don't want to do. Let's go here. Okay, I got to adjust my pen remote really quick. Let's add Photoshop. Photoshop. Okay. Space, E, Control, Alt, Z. Okay. No, we're not doing Iggy and the Shark. Okay, image 1, 2. Open. Alrighty. Did I open it? Yes, I did. Let's see how she goes. Okay, let's check the sizing of it really quick. Let's go to Layers, Window, Layers. Okay. View, Discover Photoshop Hand Tools. Yeah, see, literally, I have just installed this. I haven't installed any of my brushes or anything. So let's go to View, Full, Fit on Screen, no, View, Zoom in, Screen, Fit Layers to Screen, Flip Screen Mode, Full with menu bar. There we go. Okay. Zoom in, good. No latency on Photoshop. Let's see the size. Ooh, I hate flick panning. No, Control Z. See, I haven't set this remote up correctly. View, let's go ahead and File, Exits, no, File. See, the thing is this is where the quick keys come into play. So usually I would have a keyboard here and I'd be able to just, you know, go hog wild. But since my muscle memory is in effect whenever it comes to Photoshop, and I haven't quite programmed everything into my quick keys, I'm having some challenges here. So let's go ahead and File, Open Recent, Image 1, 2. Okay. Oh, it saved it, auto-saved it. Oh no, why did it do that? Why did it auto-save? I didn't save that. File, Open. No, I didn't save it. Maybe I did. Huh. Well, that's my bad. View. Screen mode. With menu bar. Cancel, no, with the menu bar. That's what I wanted. View, screen mode, with menu bar. Okay. Yeah, so let's go. I'm going to adjust a couple things here. Bear with me. So we're going to go to General. Performance. That's good. General interface. Okay, dynamic color selection. Yes, I do want that. Thank you very much. Workspace. Okay. So let's go Window, Layers. Okay, so let's go ahead and jack that down a little bit. Okay. Okay, image size. Oh, at 100. So let's go ahead and jack this up. We're going to go, we'll do 300 DPI. And we're going to do 18. Okay. Because who works at 100 DPI? Nobody. Decent speed. Okay. Zoom in and out. I've got to create a layer. Flick panning. I hate flick panning. Why did it flick pan? Thought I had told it no flick panning. Always create. Performance. Workspace. No. Interface. Tool. Rich tooltips. Enable gestures. I don't care about that. No flick panning. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I don't like flick panning. Okay, let's go ahead and do this. See, it's running it great. Let's go ahead and jack that down a little bit. Oh, we're on eraser. I was messing around last night. I like the Ultimate Pencil. It's a really decent pencil. Okay. Okay. Ah. All right. So let's go ahead. Oops, because I'm not on the right layer. So you see, even on a very RAM robust program like Photoshop, the machine is just wonderful. So I think that's kind of where I'm at today with you guys. What I'll do is I'll go ahead and play around a little bit more. And I'm probably going to switch back over. Now you see that blinking? Now watch. View. I had this problem whenever I was on my screen mode, full screen mode. I had this problem whenever I was on my HP ZBook. I would get a flicker. There we go. I would get a flicker whenever I had the menus up, and I could never figure it out. I never understood why it was doing that. If you guys know, leave stuff in the comments. So what I'm doing right now in terms of the drawing experience, I'm just basically, I'm not tracing, I'm finding the best path for this image, okay? What am I trying to say with this? See, I've got that eye's all kind of off, so I'm gonna have to fix that. But as a drawing device, you can't, it's hard to beat, man. At that price point, you know? So that's all I had for you guys today. Hopefully you got something. Sorry the video is so long, but I wanted to give an in-depth review of this particular device, the SP7, Surface Pro 7. Is it a great, viable illustration device? Oh, heck yeah. I've seen many people poo-poo the Surface devices. Granted, does it need a little updating? Yeah. It really does. I mean, ultimately, I think in terms of a flagship, it really, you know, should have been the SP7 that got the SP10 treatment. You know, these companies that are going and trying to create these devices that, you know, with the ARM chips, and I get it. I understand. I mean, look, the iPad's an incredible machine. And that's what they're trying to cash in on. They're trying to get some of those ARM dollars, you know? So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and put this thing on time lapse really quick. I don't even know what time I'm on. Okay. Hopefully you guys got something out of this review. You know, I'll be doing the review on the Raphael 520. That'll be the next, and you guys can see basically how I'm working with it. Just a wonderful quick. And paired with this XP pen remote, man, gee whiz, it's just so good. It's just so good. It's just so good. You know, I mean, I'm working on a tiny little little device. It's running full versions of Photoshop. This is full Photoshop, guys. This is not, you know, this is the latest and greatest iteration of Photoshop. And it is just, this is a 300 DPI. You know, of course, I don't have 1,500 layers. I'm sure it would start screaming at me if I did. But in terms of what you're able to do on these machines nowadays, love it. All right, guys. Thanks for visiting the channel. Like and subscribe if you like what you see. And as always, go out and draw something today. You know, I'm not going to stay in all day. I'm not going to sit here and draw something. You know, I'm going to get out, get some fresh air. I live in the mountains, so it's fall right now. If any of you guys follow me on Instagram, at Mike Clarida, you can see some of the pictures I've posted recently of the beauty that is the mountains. Man, it's so beautiful around here. Yeah, that eye's jacked. I need to redo that eye. What's great about this Raphael stylus is you press the button and it automatically defers to the eraser. What? Holy moly, what is that black magic? So I'm going to play a little bit more. I'm going to put you guys on time lapse. And we'll see you soon. Thank you, guys. Whoop. Bye. Thank you guys once again for visiting the channel. Hopefully you enjoyed the review, and definitely hit that notification bell. The next video coming up, I'm going to be reviewing the Raphael 520 and finishing this illustration. Thank you guys. Have a great day. Bye.